Hello, everybody. Welcome to a live show covering Seahawks Cutdown Day reactions to Seahawks waiver and cut news as it happens in real time. I'm Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at HawkBlogger. And for the time being, the only place that you can listen to the show live is either on YouTube, on Facebook, as a matter of fact, at the HawkBlogger Facebook page, or on Instagram. So be sure to check us out there. Want to update all of you on what's going on so far relative to the Seahawks. And you're going to hear me pause at times and tweet. So hard to tweet and talk at the same time. I'm just reading now that the Seahawks have waived Easop Winston Jr., a guy they definitely want back on the practice squad. And I will give you an update on all of those. Whoa. For whatever reason, it's not wanting me to tweet. Oh, maybe because that tweet is maybe out of date. I don't know. We'll find out. So let me see if there's a more recent version of this. There it is. That's why. What a wonderful, wonderful site this Twitter is. All right. So I only have 40 minutes or so. I've got to take my kid to a dentist appointment. He's got a toothache. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but got to do that. So I wanted to jump on and have some live reaction to what has happened so far. What do we know so far? We know that the Seahawks have waived, and let me actually do this. I will create a quick list here, and I will share it on screen. So let me go create a quick Google Doc and share that with all of you. All right. So let me put this. I will share this like this and put this up. Put this up here. All right. So the cuts that we know are Easop Winston. And let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. You might say, hey, Brian, why didn't you get this all figured out before you came on? Well, you know what? I prefer getting on quickly to having everything perfectly worked out, because you know what? It's a live show. We can adjust. We can adjust, right? So, all right. So Seahawks cuts we know. Let me start listing them out for you. We've got running back George Holani. And let me make this much bigger for you. Shoot. Let's make this much bigger. There we go. That's too big. George Holani. We know wide receiver Easop Winston Jr. We know outside linebacker Jamie Sheriff. We know cornerback DJ James. Okay. Those are the guys. We know safety Ty Okada. And it's possible you guys have someone I do not yet. So let me know if you've found anybody I have not. Someone's saying John Radigan. Let me double check if I have confirmation of that before I add it to the list. I am not seeing John Radigan yet. someone's saying it's confirmed. So it's Brady has reported this. Well, if Brady's reporting it, then I trust it to be true. Easton Gibbs. There we go. John Radigan. Okay. So that brings the total to linebacker Easton Gibbs, linebacker John Radigan. Let's see. Yeah, Brady's talking about Michael Ezeki. I mean, these are guys that, not as much news there, but it is what it is. They're going to come fast and furious for a little while. All right, so let's talk through these guys as we've got them for now, and let's make this a little tighter. I guess can't make it too tight. There we go. All right, that's a little bit better. So George Holani, that's probably the biggest news. That's as far as, maybe a little bit of surprise. Holani certainly earned a spot. I think that I have been predicting a 3-person running back room. I think that that's pretty likely at this point. And so, Kenny McIntosh is almost certainly going to make it as a result of this. Zach Charbonnet, that's good news about Zach Charbonnet's health, that they feel comfortable making this cut. Also, running backs, as much as we love them, we fall in love with them in preseason, I hate to say it, they're kind of a dime a dozen. There's someone that on every team, I can guarantee you, almost every fan base has a running back they love that they're like, oh my God, we can't cut this guy. And they can, because they can go to practice squad and then you can elevate them 3 times. I just think it's the smart roster decision to only keep 3 and to risk. Plus, it's a lower value position in general. So if you're going to lose somebody that's got some potential, lose them at running back. That's the place to lose them. If you're going to lose somebody at quarterback or edge rusher, that's a more concern. We'll talk about that in a second. But George Holani, maybe the biggest, quote, surprise of these cuts. Aesop Winston Jr., not a surprise. I've told you he's been great. No offense to him. I think he's been a very good receiver. He's done his job. He's a smaller stature player. He has specific places where he fits. He's a good receiver, but he is not a great receiver. He is not the next Doug Baldwin where you're like, oh my God, we got to keep this guy on. He's a good, solid receiver, and he could be the 5th receiver on your roster and not be a problem. The Seahawks have a very deep receiver room, and I think they're looking for bigger, more physical receivers. I think this is potentially good news for Jerick Young, but we'll find out about that. No word yet on D. Eskridge. Jamie Sheriff, obviously we're all wanting him back. I've been a huge Jamie Sheriff fan since the first game of the preseason, and he may not make it through waivers. Of all these guys, that's the one that I would be concerned may not make it through waivers. He put on quite a show in every preseason game. He did it at a position where is a high value. Edge rush is highly valuable. If there's a team out there that had some priors on him and they were like, man, we wish we would have gotten him, now they'll have a chance. Potentially he'll go through waivers. Every team will have a chance to claim him. So that's the one I'm a little bit concerned about. It'd be a bummer to see him go elsewhere. But as I've said before, keep an eye on the reality that, Nick Reed, Levi Bell, Kaysen Williams, Troy Maine Pope. There's guys that flash in preseason against 3rd and 4th string players that are not the next great player. And so as much as I would love to see Jamie Sheriff stick around and see that story continue and see him become someone who surprises, I don't think we can worry that much about it. I think we just got to see it through. DJ James, a draft pick. He is the first draft pick that we're talking about that's been cut. He was drafted in the 6th round. He will not be the last draft pick that we hear is cut. And so there's some people really worrying about this. I'm not surprised. As I wrote on Twitter, DJ James has not stood out has not stood out relative to what I've seen from cornerbacks early in camp. And I think in his preseason has been mostly not great. He has some potential to make, to get kept around because of his ability to play inside. I think the team is interested in that. But even if Artie Burns' injury is serious, which we all hope it's not, I don't think DJ James was an option. I think they would look elsewhere for nickel cornerback help if they need someone to replace Artie Burns. So I was not at all surprised about DJ James. I was not surprised about Tai Okada. I think Tai Okada, on the other hand, played very well during practice and preseason. It's just a deep position there. And that may be good news for Rayshawn Jenkins' injury situation. I would think Tai Okada would be a guy they would look to keep on the roster if they thought Jenkins was going to be out for a while. So maybe some good news there. Easton Gibbs, not a surprise, was already cut and then brought back, undrafted free agent. John Radigan, a surprise to some, was not on my final roster because of the $3 million he was owed. I just don't think that he clearly is better than Patrick O'Connell or some of the other linebacker options they've got. So, that's one that, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get him back on practice squad. He may sign elsewhere if he sees that there's a better place for him, but, not a shock there. Ezekiel, I'm not going to spend time on because he didn't even play. So, other news, it sounds like, and I'm going to verify this, Rams linebacker Ernest Jones traded. Let's get the details on that. So, let's see. The Rams are trading linebacker Ernest Jones to the Titans. And I'm not seeing what the compensation is. Not seeing it so far. So Ernest Jones going to the Titans, that weakens the Rams. I mean, I think he's an excellent inside linebacker. I am curious now who the Rams will go to behind Ernest Jones. Jacob Hummel, Troy Reeder. It's a light room. I mean, it's interesting that this was something I was fascinated by earlier in camp, that they did not extend. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. Ernest Jones, and then they gave him an ability to seek trade. They found a partner and they've moved him. It's pretty surprising. So interesting to see that. We also Mario Kendricks, the defensive tackle, for the Seahawks was released. Also not a huge surprise. I'm just trying to keep up with other moves here. Let's get back to Brady, who's got plenty of the inside info. Yep, we've got nothing else that I'm seeing that's new. You guys are certainly helping there. I see someone asking about Nelson Caesar. I think that is likely to be another cut. I expect he will be hopefully added back to the practice squad, but we will find out together. In general, I feel like so far things are going exactly there. If I were to pull up my roster predictions, because why not? Let me pull up my roster predictions. The last ones that I did. And let's take a look at this together so you guys can see this. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. Let's make it even bigger, just for all the hard of vision people. So I had Helani getting cut. I had Aesop Winston getting cut. Had John Radigan getting cut. Now, I'm going to be wrong about Coburn, but we still have to see if there's a nose tackle that they make a move for. The guy that Brady Henderson mentioned, John Ridgway from the Commanders. Now the news is out that they've been trying to shop him, so we'll see about that. I had John Radigan getting cut. I had DJ James getting cut. I had Ty Okada getting cut. So far, I am batting 1,000 on my projections. I expect to still be that way. The ones that I have questions about, I was wondering a little bit about offensive line. If they had kept Helani, then I was going to say they were going to probably cut Raekwon O'Neal. I think that the fact that they kept Helani most likely means that Raekwon O'Neal is going to be safe. Although I've got Mike Jarrell, Satawa Lamea, Garrett Greenfield, Jalen Sundell, all of these guys getting cut and tried to be brought back on the practice squad. Jarrell's a guy that I just have some concern if they let him go, someone's going to claim him. I think they're trying to hide him. We'll see. But that one's going to be an interesting one to watch. I think we'll watch for that name. I think they'll wait as long as possible to that. I've got Miles Adams getting cut. We'll find out. It's possible Miles Adams is the type of guy that might even make it initially. And then if they do make a deal or find a nose tackle they like, that they'll cut him the next day. It wouldn't shock me at all. The other thing to note, okay, sorry, folks, this is something that's interesting. With the Titans trading for Ernest Jones, they have a lot of interesting linebackers that could become available for the Seahawks if they like any of them better than Patrick O'Connell. I did a show on this a while back, and if I go and I look really quickly at the Titans linebacker room, Jack Gibbons is a guy that's interesting. Chance Campbell was a guy that they lost to an injury in the last game, so that might be part of it. But they drafted Cedric Gray. I like Otis Reese. I think this guy's an excellent special teams player. Not sure if he's better than Patrick O'Connell, but that's a guy I've talked to you guys about a lot. I think Jack Gibbons is also really interesting, but I'm guessing he's a starter. So there could be a ripple effect from the Ernest Jones deal that could even come back and affect the Seahawks roster. Just something to keep an eye on. I have D. Williams making it. That's one that versus D. Eskridge. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. I think that's a 50-50 bet. It wouldn't shock me if the team decides to part ways with Eskridge, but given what we saw on Saturday, I would not be surprised at all. I think that the team could convince themselves very easily that they could have both of those guys because they can waive D. Williams. No one's going to pick him up. If they waive D. Eskridge, there's at least a 50-50 chance that somebody will pick him up. Best bet is they'll probably cut D. Williams, but we will find out together soon enough. All right, so we will keep looking just to see if there's anyone else that has come loose. I'm seeing some reports that the Rams got a 4th-round pick for Ernest Jones. If true, that is a pretty healthy return. But I mean, this guy, he's like 24 years old. I think like a Pro Bowl level inside linebacker. There's something going on there. It's very weird. You just don't usually trade good players that are young, good players. And I don't think the Rams are like hurting for cap space in a way that would make them have to do that. They've got a pretty young team in general. So something's not kosher with that move for sure. So again, going through these moves, the John Radigan one for some people might be the biggest surprise. I talked to folks like about this before. him making that $3 million non-guaranteed, it just doesn't make any sense for the team to keep him for that. So I cut him in my list because of that. And then, Patrick O'Connell in some ways outplayed John Radigan. And look, Patrick O'Connell is a sneaky good athlete. I think people underestimate him. I saw him leap over one of those 6 foot tall blocking dummies in one bound. It's something Bruce Irvin used to do, who's like a crazy good athlete, and it was always impressive. Patrick O'Connell did it no problem. And so I think he's also a better coverage linebacker than John Radigan, and that's just worth just being aware of, that he's a guy that the team is he's can be around. I think he's 25, so not too worried about that. The Helani thing, I would be very surprised if anyone claims him. Aesop Winston, I would be very surprised if anyone claims him. DJ James, I would be surprised if anyone claims him. If they do, I'm not going to worry about it one bit. So, Jamie Sheriff, of the people that I would keep an eye on a bit getting claimed, I mean, this guy was very, very good during the preseason. And the reality is he plays a position where that's valuable, and he sacked the quarterback multiple times. And you just got to wonder if he got too much attention during preseason to keep him safe in Seattle. But we'll find out. Again, teams would have to be signing him to their 53. They can't just claim him and put him on the practice squad. They would have to claim him and hold him on their 53. They'd also have to keep him on the 53. So if they, in a couple days or weeks, decide to cut him for some reason, then he becomes an option for the Seahawks practice squad again. So you got to play the long game there. That's what Mike McDonald has talked about. And, they know what they're doing there. And if it doesn't work out, I wish Jamie Sheriff nothing but the best. I hope it's in Seattle, but if it's not, so be it. Trying to see if there's any other news flowing in here. Double checking a couple places. Yeah, I think the biggest piece that is worth being aware of is the George Helani news really does seem to indicate the Seahawks will keep 10 offensive linemen, which is what I have projected each step of the way. Other people aren't mentioning that yet, but that's kind of the way I would read it. And then I know some people are like, oh man, what about Sam Hartman, the quarterback with the hair? As somebody who is follically challenged, do we bring Sam Hartman as the second coming of Charlie Whitehurst, clipboard Jesus? No, Sam Hartman is not a good quarterback. He is a gorgeous looking man, but he is not a good quarterback. He's got a weak arm and not an NFL arm, and I don't think we'll ever make the NFL. Sorry, ladies, if you're listening, but I just think that's probably not going to happen. Other pieces of news that are kind of note. We saw Malik Willis got traded from the Titans to the Packers, and the Packers released Michael Phelps, rookie quarterback. There were people that were absolutely pounding the table in my mentions leading up to the draft that the Seahawks should take him in like the 3rd round. I was like, I don't see it. Michael, he just looks like a guy to me that is someone that is, if anything, a career backup. That's his what do you call it? Michael Pratt, should I say? I don't know what I said. I might have said Michael Phelps. Michael Pratt. That's his ceiling, is being a career backup. So he gets waived by the Packers. He's now out there. It is interesting. Like, the team put a number of guys on the podium after the third preseason game. They put DJ James, George Halani, Jamie Sheriff, and Kenny McIntosh. 3 of those 4 players have been waived. And I think here is me reading way too much into this. It is, why do you pick those guys to feature after the game? I think you do it because you want to reward them for playing well. You want to engender some good feeling and connection with the organization because you want to be able to recruit them back to the practice squad. And so I don't think that was by accident that 3 players that they waived a few days later were featured in their post-game press conferences a couple days ago. I think that they are trying to demonstrate, hey, we want you as part of this organization. We see your value and we're going to feature you. So I think very, very highly likely that DJ James, Halani, and Sheriff are all guys that they would like to have back to their practice squad. But just something to, these are like the, over insightful kind of things to pay attention to that may or may not be true, but that's kind of how I have seen it. All right, I'm looking around here to see if there's any other news. I'm seeing Grant Cohn post a picture of his Costco receipt with a bunch of Kirkland golf balls, which I get that the price is good, but those are awful golf balls, man. They are spinny golf balls. They will not help you. They used to be good, no longer. So if you're a golfer, do not rely on Kirkland golf balls. If you're going to go cheap, which I go cheap as well when I've done golf a lot, go buy used golf balls. There's going to be people that they reclaim them. There's high quality ones. You can get them for like $1 a ball. You can get Titleist. You can get all the best brands. Way better golf ball, just as cheap or cheaper than Kirkland balls. So that's my recommendation. You can find them on like Craigslist. You can find them on eBay, all those places. So just a note there. All right. So looking again, just refreshing to see if there's any other new news. As of now, no news on Mike Jarrell, no news on Satawa Lomea, no news on other players that we've talked about, Derek Young, Cody White. I think Cody White's going to get cut. I see a question here about, do we keep Laumea? I don't think that he's going to make it to the 53. I think they'll try to keep him on the practice squad. I do think that they like him and are crossing their fingers that he gets through to make it to their practice squad. Like I said, I think Mike Jarrell is in that camp as well. There is a chance that they keep Mike Jarrell because I just think his ceiling is high enough that that's one that they might not want to risk. But my guess is they are going to risk it, and we'll have to cross our fingers together that he makes it through. Who else? We're going to hear some names. We haven't heard about Marquise Blair yet. I think we'll hear about him. We haven't heard about Lance Boykin or Carlton Johnson. We also haven't heard any IR news yet. So, is that look at this, Patrick O'Connell. That is the first surprise. Both O'Connell and Radigan I do wonder if Ernest Jones being traded to Tennessee means a guy like Otis Reese becomes available. or the Seahawks just keep 4 inside linebackers, which would be less than McDonald ever kept in Baltimore. If you're wondering why I'm talking like that, it's because I'm talking and typing at the same time. So that's an interesting one. So that's my first miss. I'm going to group the linebackers together. Linebacker Patrick O'Connell. I do think they're going to want him back on practice squad as well. So that's it. That's the first one. That's the first miss. So let's color that. I'm gonna. Whoops. Let's do. I think I have to make this wider in order to get colors. There we go. And I think I spelled his name wrong too, but that's fine. We'll do this another way. So that's one I got wrong. No, did I spell it right? I think I did spell it right. Yeah, okay. For some reason, it looks funny. So yeah, I think I see Misfit here giving me hassling me saying Brian's going to graduate to voice to text tweeting during live stream soon. Yes, it's not a bad idea. I'll just live text tweet my entire show. It'll be just a stream of tweets, or maybe just one tweet with my entire show transcript in it. I think that sounds like fantastic listening for everybody. So this is where we are. I actually have to run here in about 4 minutes. So I'll stick around for 4 minutes. Then I've got to take my kid to a doctor's appointment. And then I've got a meeting with a sponsor to try to work through something. But then I will likely either come back on, or I will, go to the VMAC and go live from there. We'll just have to see. Bob Condata says Seattle may just be keeping 4 inside linebackers, or they could be keeping Drake Thomas. Drake Thomas, I'm telling you, if you've been listening to me, I'm telling you, he's very interesting. He's a very interesting player. As an athlete, I'm super interested in him. He just came off PUP. We did not get a lot of look at him, but I really like Drake Thomas. But they might just be keeping 4. I do think that we are getting some new news. I want to verify it. Before I say it. So, not finding the verification I need. I am finding that the Titans got Ernest Jones and a 6th rounder in 2026. The Rams received a 2026 5th rounder. So that is not a lot in return. We did just get it. Okay, confirmation that D. Eskridge has been released. I ended up hitting that one. I said this earlier today. Everyone knows I was a Creed Humphrey truther from the beginning, and that was a guy that I really wanted, and I gave the D. Eskridge pick an F immediately. I've got receipts. You can go back on the channel and find my immediate draft reaction immediately. But I also was clear from the beginning that it wasn't about D. Eskridge. It was about the decision to prioritize a small wide receiver over a center. And I still feel that way. D. Eskridge got hurt a lot. Yes, he had some off the field stuff, which I had forgotten about, to be totally honest. But for me, I separate those, like the player as a football player versus his injuries. So I don't hold it against D. Eskridge. I didn't hold it against CJ Procise. I didn't hold it against Who was the other guy? Rashad Penny. Like, these guys don't want to be injured. And so I'm not going to like give them crap or make fun of them or call them glass man or whatever because they get injured a lot. But the thing with D. Eskridge is I just never thought that he showed enough as a receiver. He just didn't flash to me. I saw more from Tutu Atwell, who was drafted one spot after him, than I did from D. Eskridge. And that was even when he was on the field. And that was even in practices. So I thought it was the wrong decision to keep D. Eskridge. I think D. Williams is the guy they should invest in. I think the team's interested in him. I think he can be a really solid returner, both as a punt returner and a kick returner. And I'd say good luck to D. Eskridge. I hope he lands on his feet wherever he goes. I don't think he's going to be coming back. If I'm D. Eskridge, I want a fresh start. I want a fresh fan base. I want new. I don't think it makes sense, even if the Seahawks wanted him back, I don't think it makes sense for D. Eskridge to come back here. And so I hope he succeeds somewhere else. I got no issues with him. But this does mean that it's more likely that my prediction of what I had for D. Williams making it and D. Eskridge getting cut, I think these are going to be your 6 receivers. I think DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Tyler Lockett, Jake Bobo, Derek Young, Laviska Shenault. I think Cody White, there's a chance, but I really think they're going to try to get him back to practice squad. I don't think he makes the final 53. So I think I'm going to be right on that, but we will find out soon enough. All right, folks, I'm having so much fun. I would love to stick around, but I got to go take care of my kid. Got to go take him to a doc appointment. Depending on how that goes, we'll be back. We'll try to get back on with you as soon as possible. But for now, I got a jet and appreciate all of you. If you haven't given the show a like and click subscribe, please do. Please consider joining at patreon.com/hawkblogger and joining as a YouTube member. The best way, the most helpful way to show appreciation is if you can support the show that way. Otherwise, liking and subscribing, great way to do it, as well as give us a follow over on Instagram at hawkblogger. Appreciate you all. I will be back with you definitely today. Make sure you have the bell clicked to get notified when I go live, because I'm telling you, I'm going to go live again at least once, maybe twice today, and you're going to want to be there to hear it. All right, folks, we will be with you later on today. Take care.